Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the
Now, in Speedway, we all have our heroes. I don't mean riders that seem to glide past their rivals with ease while smoking a cigarette and reading the newspaper. You know, the Ty Watts, the Jason Doyles, the Bartek's Marshlicks of this world. In other words, not the superstars. I'm talking of the riders that will probably never be world champ, but who nevertheless entertain us with their never-say-die attitude. Riders that are happy to share an anecdote and a beer with the fans after a meeting. One such rider, who always gave his all and was a gentleman to boot, always had time to talk to his fans, is Ulrich Ostergaard. Ulrich has just announced his retirement, so we at the Tavern would just like to say thanks, Ulrich, and all the best in all your future endeavours, only in Speedway. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, isn't it? Very often your heroes are not the top riders. I'm thinking of people like, for me, would have been Jeanette Kudrunner.
Yeah.
I bet you could all name riders like that. So one of our categories today is going to be unsung heroes, but we'll talk about that later. How is everybody anyway?
Not too bad. Can we just start with something else first? Can we just, on behalf of the Speedway Tavern, pass on our sincere condolences to Phil Morris and his family following the obviously the sudden death of his wife last week.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm afraid I didn't know about that. But absolutely,
it was a complete shock. So we send our thoughts and prayers to
absolutely.
Mozart and his family at this time. Of course, he has been on the show a
few times, and as a friend of the show. That's sad news. All the best, mate. All the best. How is everybody, by the way?
Not too bad. We're end of season.
End of season, yeah. It feels like the end of the season for me about 6 weeks ago. But and was that's something they've got to, as you were saying earlier, they've got to sort out, haven't they? I mean, we've got teams that finished end of August, beginning of September, and we've got the playoffs happening. I mean, the playoffs in the Premiership have finished, and there's still league matches going on.
Still 2 more league matches, yeah. I think Sheffield and Ipswich and Kings Lynn against Bellevue, and that's next week as well. So we've got another week, and if they get rained off, I don't know when they're going to get those fixtures in. They're going to have to run them off nights, I think, to get the dates in. So
yeah, it's done it, and come on, what sort of year have we had? It's been so much rain about, and
I know, yeah. Haven't had any hot weather, have we? At all this year,
not at all.
Only about 6 weeks of it, or longer.
Right, so Webby, who seems to have come as a gardener today, by the way. Would you like to tell people how they can take part, please?
I just take my chewing gum out of my mouth because I'm the ultimate professional.
Who told you that?
Okay, so if you search on Facebook, you search for UK Speedway Tavern, you can find us there. Also, if you go onto YouTube, search for the same thing, UK Speedway Tavern, you can find us there as well. And also, if you missed the show, right, if you're not listening now, hang on, that don't work right. If you're not listening now, you won't be listening now, will you?
We might be listening on the podcast.
Yeah, okay. So
I got him out of a hole there. Did you see what I did there?
Thank you. So maybe you're listening to this bit, but don't want to listen to the rest of it. Maybe we're about. I don't know where I'm going with this. No. Anyway, so from tomorrow afternoon, we're available on Apple, Spotify, Acast, Anchor, YouTube, Stitcher, Google, and many, many more podcast platforms. Thank you.
Okay, now
you can have a lie down if you want.
Yeah, if there's anybody still listening after that, if there's anybody still listening after that, we, as ever, would love your input via the shout box. Have we got anything going on yet?
I haven't got to that. You're rushing me tonight.
Where?
And we promised this week we will look at
the
the
YouTube comments.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, I know. I'll just get the. So it takes a while.
So we should say, while we're waiting, congratulations to Bellevue.
Yep, they've had a long wait to get it, haven't they? 29 years.
Sheffield put up a good show.
They certainly did. It was. I have to say, it was 2 really good meetings. I think the best two teams in the league got to the final. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Bellevue obviously a good performance in the first leg, just about to keep Sheffield at arm's length. But 12 points looked doable. Bellevue's form away from home has occasionally been a little bit suspect, but I thought Bellevue were pretty professional in their performance, and Sheffield threw everything at them, certainly in the latter stages of the meeting. But I think their heads went really a little bit after that somewhat controversial Heat 3 decision to exclude Adam Ellis in his clash with Tom Brennan, when, to all intents and purposes, to me, it looked like Brendan was already going down.
Right.
And obviously Ellis made it pretty clear what he thought of the referee's decision, with a few hand signals going in the direction of the box.
Right.
So,
we like a bit of that, though.
yeah, I didn't agree with the decision, to be fair. Not, as I say, I think Sheffield sort of got to Sheffield a little bit. Simon Stead was bitterly disappointed with his judging of his comments after the meeting. I thought, I like Simon Stead. I've got a lot of time for him. I think he's done a great job as a team manager, but I thought it was a little bit petulant, to be honest, his comments afterwards. But
okay, heat of the moment.
Maybe heat of the moment. Yeah, he's a Sheffield man. He loves the club. He dearly wanted to be the man that brought that league championship to Sheffield for the first time. But it's Bellevue. As I say, they've waited long enough. And obviously they've been so close on.
I didn't realise
occasions.
quite how long they had actually waited.
Yeah,
long old time.
Unfortunately, I remember the last time they won it, not with a lot of affection either. So,
let it go.
They are. But listen, they are, to me, the iconic club of British Speedway, aren't they? If you go walk around the street and ask anybody to name a British Speedway club, the chances are they'll say
Birmingham.
Belgium. Not in Birmingham, though. I don't think.
No. Well,
Depends which part they go. But Bellevue, it's an iconic name, isn't it? It's pretty unique as a name. Bellevue Aces. Some great riders, obviously, have ridden for the club, of course. And the Morans, Jason Crump, the late great Peter Craven, Ivan Major, Peter Collins, and it's. I think Bellevue have got the nucleus to go on and to go back to back next year as well. I think I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Robert Lambert's there next year. And
he was possibly the difference between the two sides.
I think so. Yeah. Max Frick's had a good season, of course, and he obviously does well at Bellevue. But I think having Lambert there, given the form he's had this season,
showed what we're missing.
It did, yeah. I'd love to see Robert. I think Robert Lambert needs to be riding in the UK next year anyway, because I just think him and Dan Bewley, to be fair, I think they need to be. They're at that age where they need to be racing often, racing as often as they possibly can. Possibly, as I've said a couple of weeks ago, they could. It's not inconceivable that Bellevue could have both in the team next year with Tom Brennan as well. Three, probably our best three up and coming British riders as well. So
Robert Lambert, I'm not sure you can call him up and coming now. He's an established star, isn't he?
Yeah, well, it's 24, 25, I think now. So it's he's not
he's not an old man like you.
He's not approaching my age. I know. No. So.
And then who is right?
Well, you're not. You've obviously.
I'll quickly say hello to a few people.
I was going to say that
before we get to the comments. Okay, so good evening to Lawrence, Jeff Daniels, Andrew Garner, Rich Thomas, Pete Clark, Susan J. Also Craig Smee, Susan Jordan, Rich Thomas, Elliot Hunt, Dave Twine, and a few others listening as well.
And anybody on YouTube, just in case.
I better have a look.
You better have a look.
Rich Thomas is on YouTube as well.
Okay.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Have we got two Rich Thomases? Have we?
Which one's the richest? Right. Shall I go and get my coat now?
Yeah. I haven't got the soundbite ready.
So, thank you for your kind comments, Susan Jordan, who said the great season reports and bits and pieces from the Tavern. Looking forward to 2023. Yes, so are we. From Spuddy, evening chaps, can only join for part of the show this evening. Well, he's going to miss the best part then, isn't he?
Did he get permission for that?
Yeah. When we're going to announce
when he's finished mid-time.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have said that, should I?
We'll wait till he's gone and we'll tell him he's won a prize.
Yeah. Got a meeting on the British Speedway Sliders game. Touching on the Olympic last night, a lot was made of the lineup not being great, but for me there was some great racing. Was keeping a particular eye on Ben Cook, who looks stylish, especially when leading. Also big congratulations to Sam Masters and his partner Tegan on the birth of their son.
Yeah, congratulations, Sam. That was announced obviously during the meeting last night, so that obviously got a big cheer. So Right time, I think, for Speed Rider to become a father as the season's ending, I think, with all the late nights and
Absolutely, yeah.
But congratulations, and hopefully mother and baby doing really well.
Elliot Hunt, great final meeting last night with lots of close racing due to the handicap format. Good to see 3 Wolves riders involved in the final, with Nick Morris winning the meeting's superb fireworks display to end the season. Was it superb?
Yeah, really spectacular. It's always a good fireworks display at Wolves. It's one of those fire displays when halfway through it you think if we'd have spent as much money on the team we'd be doing the fireworks, we'd have won everything. But no, it was a really good effort. It was a good meeting. It wasn't the greatest of fields. I mean, I've been to Olympics where the field's been pretty much close on to being a world final many years ago, but that doesn't seem to happen, unfortunately, with individuals now. But I've got to say, one man who did impress me, and bear in mind, I think it's the first time he's ridden there, but that was Paco Castagna. I think he got 7, 8. Obviously, it's an intriguing meeting because, of course, there's a handicap system as well. So you win a race, the next race you have to start 20 metres back. So. But no, it was a good meeting, even though it was one of those meetings where you had to have a green light start because the tapes failed before the first race. But hey ho.
Okay, I mean that makes that even more difficult for the people on the handicap.
It does a little bit, yeah, because you've got to watch out for the green light. I think it goes on, you're under orders, and then it goes off, and you go. So.
Elliot Hunt, Premiership Pairs Round 5 taking place at Leicester next Tuesday instead of Sheffield, as they have run out of dates, which means they lose track advantage. Can't believe we have run out of weeks with a full season.
Well, they've had weeks to run this meeting, haven't they? 6 rounds in the Premiership, one at every meeting. I don't anticipate the Premiership Pairs being on the calendar next year, I must admit. I think it was just done as a bit of just to try and fill in some of the blank dates.
No, we don't need to fill in the blank dates, it turns out. I presume this is a Bellevue Sheffield comment. Rich Thomas,
Yes.
Christine Turnbull, enough said.
Yeah, obviously she was the referee.
Weren't happy, were they?
They weren't happy at all. I was a little bit disappointed to read on the forum 1 or 2 sort of comments about the fact that the referee was a woman. I don't think there was any place for that, if I'm being honest. But it was a. I didn't agree with the decision, I must admit. So, but
that happens in Speedway, doesn't it? It happens in all sports. I don't think we want to go down the VAR route, do we?
Not particularly. No.
Craig Smith, Aces champions. I've been to a few big football matches, but I must say the atmosphere at Sheffield on Thursday was one of the best atmospheres I've ever witnessed at a Speedway stadium. Well done to both fans. There was 2 fans.
Yeah.
To both sets of fans, I think. When we won it, the party was unbelievable.
There was a great it didn't. I've got to be honest. When you watched it on the telly, it didn't come across that great. But when you look at some of the footage that people have filmed in the stands, then the place was absolutely bouncing. I mean, there's a great rivalry between Bellevue and Sheffield anyway, obviously with Lancashire v Yorkshire, and there were coachloads of Bellevue fans made the 25-mile sort of trip over across to Sheffield, and it was a really good atmosphere. And as I say, they've got so close in the last few seasons, and it's obviously great for them that they've finally managed to get that monkey off the back and get over the line.
Yeah, there could be a few more coming their way, I suppose.
Well, you think back to the Bellevue team in the 70s when they had the likes of Major and Sir Justin, and I think they won 3 league championships in a row in the early 70s. That's something that they would definitely be looking to try, and I think there's only Poole that have done it since. So that's something for them to really go for.
And we've got a few people sort of dissecting stuff now. Jeff Daniels said, very disappointed in Stead and Ellis's comments blaming the referee, compared to Muslak and Sedgman's exactly the opposite. In my opinion, where Sheffield lost it was Holder only getting 2 points at the NSS.
Yeah, that was disappointing to see Jack Holder only get 2 points at Bellevue. And Carl Howarth didn't have a particularly good first leg either, and I think in the end Sheffield probably left themselves with just a little bit too much to do.
Jeremiah Bullfrog said, look at the score chart. Captain Howarth twice failed to score against a reserve.
Yep. Not good enough, really, was it? If you wanted to win the league, you've got to have all your riders firing, especially your captain. So,
Dave Twine's asking you to get a guest in, Spuddy. Fair comment. Did you get the feeling last night a couple of the Wolves 2022 side knew they weren't in the plans for 2023? Reading the programme, only 3 of them stated they'd love to be back. Interesting to see Jonas Knudsen was in the initial lineup too. Would have been interested to see how he went at the green.
Yeah, that's an interesting one actually, because they usually at the last meeting they do get all the riders together during the interval to sort of thank the fans and say, well, they didn't do that last night. I mean, I don't think I know years ago you had the shenanigans of having eggs and flour at the last meeting. I don't think you want to go back down that route, to be fair. But
I don't know. I
it's,
just enjoy that.
Yeah, but it is. I think it's important. I think for the riders to sort of acknowledge the supporters and thank them for their support and wish them well for the winter. I personally think that after the debacle at Sheffield, I should say, in the semi-final, I think there will be. Changes at Wolves next year. I think there'll be a few of those riders who possibly won't be coming back.
Right.
A lot of it's going to depend on the points limit, I think.
Of course, as always. Craig Smee says, how can Sheffield run out of dates? They don't race every week, and there was big gaps in fixtures during the season. God forbid if we had a bad summer of rain-offs, we'd be running into the start of next season at this race. I mean, we've made our comments.
The only consolation this season is that we haven't had the scourge of double headers at meetings, at Speedway meetings at the end of the season, because I do not like double headers at all. I love my Speedway, but I don't want to be watching 30 races a bit and finishing at about 11 o'clock.
It's been a good season for non-rain offs. Am I wrong? Or am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. It's been
pretty good, hasn't it?
I mean, obviously Sheffield had
issues with the track as well. Millwall have obviously had issues with their track as well during the season, although of course they've obviously managed to get to the NDL final, which I'm sure we'll come on to later.
And this is Dylan Spuddy Hodgett's comments, not mine. He says, in fairness to Christina, she was consistent, albeit consistently bad.
Yeah.
It's an opinion.
It is.
Craig Smee, Bellevue winning it has attracted much media coverage to the sport. The build-up on local news stations and the follow-up on news stations has been superb. Even the likes of BBC Sport and national papers have covered it, but it needs to continue going into next season.
I noticed on the BBC website on their motorsport section it was the leading story,
right?
Which is a big thing, really. So
why does it have to be Bellevue to winning it to make it a leading story? It is beyond me. Yeah, I mean, oh well.
All publicity is
but
good
all publicity is
yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I say, apparently.
Poole versus Leicester will be good. League will be good league. Waffy's basing himself in England next year.
Yeah, it'll be a good league.
Oh, I say, well, yeah, it will be good. Yeah. Yeah, that will be a good match. And it's a shame, given the state of the Nigel Pearson prediction league. We can't do another one, but we're not doing it. This is it. We've had enough. We want to crawl in. We want to crawl into our beds and hibernate. He stated on Eurosport coverage Thursday he wasn't racing in Britain again next year. He's basing himself back here for his kids to go to school here, which is a fair comment.
Understandable.
Yeah. Bellevue are the biggest and longest running speedway club in the world, unmatched. That's why it's the leading story.
Are they?
They are, yeah.
Are they the longest running?
Yeah, I mean, even Hitler couldn't close Bellevue because they still ran during the Second World War.
Really?
They ran a full programme of meetings. So,
mind you, do you really want to go up there, send any planes up there and bomb the place?
I don't think I'm.
I don't think we better.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think we're going there.
It looks like it's been long.
Can we not turn this into Birmingham against Manchester, please?
No, it's a nice place.
So being as this, thank you all for your comments, by the way. We've got towards the end of that, but keep them coming. I don't know whether we've got anything on YouTube before I move on.
No, fine.
Okie dokie. So, beings as its sort of end of year party in the tavern.
I can't see any balloons or
No,
stables
no,
or beer.
No,
for that
at the
matter.
party.
We would love to have your suggestions as to categories for us to vote on.
Yep.
For instance, best rider of the year or best guest or wherever. And if we remember what we've said, we'll put them on a Hall of Fame on the website, won't you?
I certainly will.
So there you go. So start giving us that, and I'm going to start us off with Unsung Hero of the Year.
Okay.
Good one.
So, well, it is a good one because Matt thought of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So, Spuddy's off. Bye, Spuddy. Take care, mate.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you after the
Thanks for turning
AGM.
up.
Mm.
God, I don't know.
Hope you get a
Can't
Max.
get the stuff, can you? Can't get
No.
the stuff.
So, yeah, Unsung Hero of the Year. I'm going to let you go first while I...
Is this for our clubs or in general?
It's up to whatever you want to do.
And Mike's going to switch his phone off.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to say Nine Bloodhorn as the unsung hero, because I think he obviously came here with very little experience, and he's put nearly 3 points on his average for Bellevue, and he's played a big part in that. I mean, he got paid 11 on Thursday at Sheffield. Been really impressed with him. Seemed as well to be sort of getting into grips a bit more with Monmouth the second time Bellevue came as well. So I'd go for him. I think he's been a terrific signing. He's a rider that I'm going to be keeping a bit of a close eye on.
There's no point talking to Webby about this.
No.
So I'm actually going.
Best haircut and things like that.
I'm going to embarrass somebody now.
Okay.
I'm going to go for Unsung Hero of the Year being Peter Clark. And everybody goes, Pete Clark.
Okay, I'm going to do it as well. Pete Clark.
Yeah, so because Pete turns up at the track every Tuesday, helping out, putting the things down. Every Wednesday he's there from about... He's even slept overnight at the place sometimes. At Birmingham, he does helps get everything ready at the track.
Is that because his wife kicked him out, though?
It's got a chance.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
And doesn't leave until God knows what hour after on the Wednesday. So I'm going to go for him.
There's quite a few. Most improved rider, best guest.
Best guest. Go on, then we'll go with
Good
best
one.
guest.
There's only Speedo going to have a best guest award, isn't
Well,
there?
there is that. Yeah. You go first again. Always.
Again. Ooh, who shall I go for? I think probably the rider that's made a big impression, certainly on your club when he's guested, of course, is Josh Pickering. Spectacular. I love watching Josh Pickering, especially on the bigger tracks. And I think I'd probably go for him because he's guested a couple of times for Wolves as well and is really, really impressed. So I'd go for him.
Okay. I think it's toss up between him and Tom Brennan for me.
Yeah.
But I think I probably would go with, just because he's so exciting, Josh Pickering.
Yeah.
So I think that's a...
you always want to see these rides that when they're in the race, you just know there's a good chance that they're going to get you off your seat.
So there's lots of people out there voting for what they think. None of those are going to go up on our wall.
Yeah. I think the best air fence repair team. I like that one. Yeah.
Best rising star of the year. We've got a few people saying Tom Brennan, and also most improved rider of the year, Tom Brennan. We'll do most improved rider of the year in a minute, actually.
Yes,
So, yeah, go on.
Lawrence agrees with the best air fence repair team. Totally the best.
Yeah, well, we did do a good job, didn't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
And Jeff agrees with Matt. Bloodhorn for me.
So, rising star of the season.
I'm going to have to go with the flow, I think, and say Tom Brennan. I think he's, of all the rising stars he's made, I'd love to say Leon Flint because obviously he rides for my club, but although he has made a lot of progress this season, I think you've got to go for Tom Brennan.
I'm in agreement for once. Most improved rider.
Benjamin Basso.
Okay, I did think you might go for Leon Flint, to be honest.
It was a toss-up. I wasn't, but I think Basso over the season has been very, very consistent.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Leon Flint anyway.
Okay.
So. Most exciting rider of the season for Craig's Meet has been Mujlak.
Yeah, I like watching Tobias Muslak. Very, very good rider to watch.
Rider of the year, Eddie Kennett. I think that's best injury of the year.
I think so,
Brian Buck said unsung hero for me has been John Priest, who has consistently produced a superb Perry Bar track. When you consider what
was left last year.
Well, yeah.
Probably best not to go there, I don't think so.
And Craig Smith says Rider of the Year is Rider Replacement. Kenneth. Susan Jordan says best helper at Brummie's Leo Dogmore, little Leo. Leo is one of the children of one of the guys that help it, and he's always going around on his little bike and stuff, and it's good stuff. Signing of the season, Robert Lambert. Signing of the season's a good one. I think that might do it, actually.
It's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think you can look anywhere else, really.
Flop of the season. Okay, that's an interesting
Peterborough.
one. Peterborough.
It's got to be Peterborough, isn't it?
Peterborough, well,
Brilliantly won the league last season, but a absolutely disastrous title defence this year.
Wouldn't Newcastle come into it either? Not actually competing.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that really. Yeah,
So
and you could say
I'm
Newcastle.
not here for just pretty looks, you know what I mean?
It's a good job, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Newcastle gets that one for me,
Yeah.
but yeah. Connor Mountain has really kicked on.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with Christopher. Yeah, so Connor Mountain's really improved as a rider. I
That's
think.
from Christopher Black. Craig Smith says Basso is a top rider. And Duncan Pemberton says worst track of the year, Cardiff.
I'm a big fan of Cardiff, but I've got to agree with that. It was definitely the worst track at Cardiff since it's been going there, and I just hope that they can sort something out for that next season.
So
Well,
what
they have
went
to.
wrong with Cardiff? Why was it so
It
bad?
was just bumpy and full of
I
ruts.
think from what I gather, the material was stored, and it was stored on top of another material, which sort of mixed in with it. And
because they didn't have it last year. as
yeah,
well,
they haven't had it for, they haven't had it for 2 years, have they?
Excuse me
So
if I'm a bit thick, but isn't there some sort of like a committee or something that has to inspect these tracks before they're ridden on? I'm just referring to a
You're an
football
idiot.
game. At the,
So anyway.
I'm just referring to a football game the weekend where the goals were 2
I
inches
saw
too
that. Yeah,
big.
I did say that. Yeah,
I don't know. Is the only answer I can give you. A lot of that is shrouded in mystery, isn't it?
Right,
I was expecting you to appear with a sword when I was watching that. So.
Craig Smee has gone somewhat with tongue in cheek, I think. Quickest air fence repair, Sheffield.
Well, they've had plenty of practice, I think, through the season. So,
But I think Birmingham won that one this year.
yeah.
Definitely do. Have we got any more categories?
We've caught up. Okay, there's another one coming up there. Most improved transfer, Lewis Kerr.
Lewis Kerr really did improve Sheffield, didn't he? Not enough, obviously, to win the league, but I mean, he rode really, really well in the semi-final. I don't even think Lewis Kerr expected to score, paid 9 points at Munmore Green that night, but he really did ride well. So
You could stretch that and say Robert Lambert again, I suppose.
yeah, absolutely.
But
Just going back to the Bellevue game, Martin Guest on YouTube says the atmosphere at Sheffield last Thursday was electric. Bellevue doing the impression of Polish fans with flares.
what, the trousers?
I was going to say. Well, they do
was-
go back to the 70s, yeah.
No, I wouldn't have a problem with that in British Speedway.
No?
It's, I think you
anything-
need an atmosphere at meetings.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Unfortunately, not every meeting is a player final. So
Yeah.
What's Martin Guest talking about?
And the last one, yeah, that one.
The greyhound track at Sheffield needed to be relayed, which took up the best part of a month. The track was unavailable. I mean, yes, but I guess the only thing to say is perhaps it should have been laid before the season started.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Lawrence Rogers has gone for the best volunteers
How about the manager of the season?
and put obviously manager of the season. Ooh.
Or the best clicker of a pen during a show.
I agree with Simon. Actually, best meeting Birmingham against Plymouth. That was
a great
really,
meeting.
really good match, and it was a massive win for Birmingham at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, so
I'd like to do one for newcomer of the year.
go on.
Well, I want to know your thoughts first.
Newcomer of the year.
Newcomer of the year.
Tempted to say James Pearson, actually. Really did impress me.
Okay.
Got better as the season went
Yeah,
on
he
as well.
did get better. That's an interesting one. I'm going to say Nigel Tolley.
Well, then.
I can say, yeah, I think so. Seems strange to say to a proprietor of a team that finished bottom of the league, but I suppose in that sense, after the nightmare of getting the,
of how it all came together and everything.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's been a success in the sense of we're going again. So that's always a success.
Yeah.
Ray Andrews wants to do the best Speedway podcast. Is there any more Speedway podcasts?
There's quite a few, but there's only one, isn't there?
There's only one original.
There's only one in it that's any good. I can't remember the name of it.
Comeback of the year is a good category.
Aaron Summers.
Dave Twine says Aaron Summers.
Yeah, you've got to say Aaron Summers, haven't you? I mean, he was, I still remember when it was announced that he was coming back to Birmingham. There seemed almost an element of disgust among a lot of the Birmingham fans at the time, didn't there? But he obviously led the club to that win at Oxford, and I thought, I think he's done really well, hasn't he, over the course of the season? I think it's given him a new lease of life coming back to Birmingham, which is a club that he knows anyway. Yeah,
he did seem he was quite positive and complimentary about Birmingham, wasn't he? Yeah. What about? I had somebody in mind. Lee Complin, as a comeback of the year.
Has he done enough meetings?
Don't know, but
I know he's. I mean, he was. It's a real shame that he hasn't persevered with Speedway for a longer period of time, because I remember when he first started and he was really, really highly rated at the time. I mean, I think even Tony Ricardson said that he earmarked him as a future world champion when he first saw him ride, and he didn't give out sort of praise like that willy-nilly. So.
Christopher Back says, performance of the season I'm putting down to Sam Masters. His win in the Championship Riders meeting, coming back for less than 2 weeks after breaking his collarbone in 3 places and winning, is actually superb. I think
he's really come of age, I think, this season, Sam, and he's become a top rider in the top league as well as in the second tier. I'm going to put another honourable name for performance of the season, Calvin Tatum, because I think we obviously, with the sudden and completely out of the blue passing of Nigel Pearson, of course, it sort of threw him into the seat of being the main commentator.
That must have been very difficult
for Eurosport. I think he's admitted himself initially he didn't want to carry on. He didn't want to carry on with that, Nigel. But I think he was encouraged by Nigel's family and friends to carry on. And I think it's helped him as well, the fact that Chris Louis has been with him for the Grand Prix, because he's got he's obviously knows Chris Louis from racing days when they were both racing.
And he's really come up to the plate really well.
Yeah. Maybe the odd stutter now and again with I think given the fact that he was completely,
he's not a professional
he was completely thrown into it, really, wasn't he? With in such tragic circumstances as well. But I think he's really stepped up to the plate and done well.
Nicest rider of the year, Pete Clark wants to know.
How did you find nice? Subjective.
A true gentleman would be I had somebody in my head. I mean, Ulrich Costergaard for a start.
I've got a lot of time for Ulrich Costergaard. Whenever I've interviewed him for rerun, he's always very, very courteous, very polite, and always very happy to speak to you. If he'll speak to me, he'll speak to anybody. So
this is one that we should have, Villain of the Year. We should definitely do one.
I think there's a few Sheffield fans probably typing Christina Turnbull's name, aren't they? So.
Well, Craig Smith says Doyle for throwing bins around the NSS.
You want the pantomime villain in Speedo, though, don't you?
Yeah, you've got it.
Do you know what? I miss Nicky Pedersen. Love him or hate him, you couldn't ignore him. So
no, you certainly couldn't do that.
Yeah, so.
I can't think of anybody that's been particularly villainous around Birmingham this year. We'd had this last year, I would have had no problem, but no, I'm drawing a blank. Definitely drawing a blank. So, hey-ho. Worst track of the season, most in the GPs.
Yeah, I've been disappointed with the GP tracks this year. I mean, there was a lot of people talking about how good a meeting Torren was. I thought the Torren GP, it's a great track, Torren, but I thought it was quite average this year. Hopefully next year they can, I mean, they've obviously put a lot of money into the presentation of the Grand Prix, but they've got to get the tracks right.
Craig Smith says Basso is a nice lad, engages with the young fans at Glasgow a lot, I believe. Okay. I've heard a lot of good things about Basso. He looked like an accident waiting to happen, I thought, when he was at Birmingham, when he came and rode at Birmingham. But
Overachiever of the year, says
overachiever of the year. Gosh.
Do you know what? I'd probably say Mildenhall
Drew
in the
Kemp?
NDL. I'd say Mildenhall in the NDL.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody expected him to get to the final. Tremendous performance in the first leg of their semi-final to only lose by 3 points at Berwick and then finish the job at West Row on Sunday. And of course they now mate Leicester in the final. I think next weekend. I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, Leicester have done well. It's a big gamble for them, isn't it? Do you think? Moving up.
I'm not so sure it is. I'm not so sure it is now, to be honest. I think they're in a better. I think as a club, I think they're in a much more stable position than they were when they last went up in 2014. And I think as well, the fact that they're going to have NDL meetings on a Saturday means that if you're a Leicester fan, you're still going to get your Saturday night fix as well. So.
Rich Thomas has put in a suggestion for comeback of the year, which I never thought of. Not a bad shout. Oxford.
Yeah, it was hugely successful in terms of their. I mean, they've had fantastic crowds. Ultimately, I think their season was a disappointment because I think that team underachieved. I think it should have been. I certainly didn't have it finishing one from bottom in the championship. I thought they'd be knocking on the playoffs at least, but big season for them. In terms of their crowd size, I think they've passed that with flying colours, and it's great to see a big club like Oxford back in the sport. Hopefully, that'll go some way to getting a couple of other clubs back that we're missing.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, we ought to mention actually glimmer of hope, according to the Speedway Star last week at Swindon, because the council there have said they're holding them to the clause that's in the contract that they've got to, before they can do any more building, they've got to sort the stadium.
Yeah.
So there's a glimmer of hope.
So there is a glimmer of hope there. So fingers crossed with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I suppose, I'm looking at the time, we should
unveil our winner.
Unveil the event of the year, which is the winner of the Nigel Pearson Prediction League. Now, we know, going into this last week, that there was three people really, but it went down to the last match.
Yep, literally the last match.
Did you?
Because what helped as well was the fact that the two men who could win it went for different results. So it literally did go down to the last match. Whoever won that meeting would have won that predicted the league.
Right. So Christopher Black says, nicest rider, genuinely Paco Castaño, one of the funniest and most sincere riders I've met.
We've had him on the show, haven't we, as well?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, Paco. We had him on during lockdown.
He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was great.
It was good fun,
don't believe that about Swindon. Trust me, it's gone, says Rich Thomas. Well, I hope you're wrong.
Hope you're wrong, yeah. Hope you're wrong, Richard.
all I
It'd
can
be great to see Swindon back again.
I suspect you're right, but I hope you're wrong. Okay, have we got the table up? Can they see it?
Don't we want this first?
Yes,
we do indeed.
That's dramatic, isn't it?
That's too much.
It's brilliant. And here we go.
And the winner
I was waiting
is
for the king to walk in.
Yeah,
and the winner
is by 1 point, I believe.
2 points.
2 points is Simon Corbett.
Back-to-back winner.
Yeah, over Ben Clifton, second, and Andrew Garner, third. Special mention for Ben Clifton. He got 28 matches scores correct, which is quicker, more than anybody. I think the nearest was 21.
Yeah.
So, well done. So what we've decided is that Ben Clifton should also have a prize. So Simon's going to send him his old T-shirt from last year. Yeah, so that's the way that works. Yeah, so we've got a T-shirt which will be winging its way.
The T-shirt,
which will be winging its way to Simon. Simon, we would love you to come on the show and
victory speech.
Have a victory speech. So if you would like
to
do that.
Just say as well, thanks to everybody who's took part in this, because it's
absolutely.
I mean, it's been brilliant, isn't it? And the fact that it's literally gone to the wire as well.
Yes,
which it hasn't done the last couple of times we've done it. It's the last 2 times we've done it. I think the winner's been fairly comfortable all the way through. But
we won't mention who was the top presenter.
Well, should we mention who was the bottom presenter?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mike Harris.
Wow. Thanks for that. Hey.
There you go. That's what he gets.
Craig Smith says Zagar is a top bloke, slumped in the crowd to celebrate with us last week. Lemon had to come and dig him out as he was loving it. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think Matty Zagar will be at Bellevue next year. Be surprised.
Because? Just a feeling?
Just a feeling. I mean, if there's a possibility, I think, of bringing someone like Robert Lambert back and Dan Bewley back, they're going to struggle to. I mean, Dan Bewley. Dan Bewley is a Bellevue asset, so I would say. I mean, I think Dan Bewley, if he wanted to race in the UK last year, but obviously with the Polish regulations, that wasn't possible. But of course, all being well, they're going to be relaxed next year, so we may see maybe the British number one, maybe the new British number one rider back.
We shall see.
Possibly.
We shall see. It'd be good for the sport if they could. Hopefully, there'll be a few other riders that will return from, some of the bigger riders from Poland and so on. If Poland do.
Duncan said if an extra point was given for just being, I haven't lost it, given out on the predictions, then I would have been champion. LOL.
Okay, well, there you go. Ben says, well
Good
done, Simon,
yeah.
through gritted teeth, I think. Took a long time for that to come, Ben. Well done.
Good effort, though, from Ben, to be fair, wasn't it?
Right.
So,
yeah, it took him right to the wire.
Rich Thomas says, got to say, only found out about your podcast this year. Enjoyed every Tuesday, and the Prediction League is a great idea.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks very much.
we certainly intend to be doing it next year as
I'm
well.
just so glad I thought of it.
So,
Oops, sorry.
yes, okay. Let's not go there. Who did think of it, actually?
Huh?
Who did think of it?
I
Doesn't
might
matter.
have. You know what I mean? I do come up with some fantastic
No, you don't.
ideas.
I'm claiming it. Okay, so we've got a few matches still to come up, and none of this is going to be. Congratulations, Mr. Corbett. Are you going to donate your winnings to the Adam Ellis Racing Funds? Ace's team next season. I'd love if the averages allow Lambert, Bewley, Wright, Zagar, Brennan, Blodern, and Etheridge. I don't know what that would be, but it's going to be a high average, isn't it?
Yeah.
Elliot Hunt wants people to know that Birmingham are running a Speedway supporters club which offers a wide range of ideas such as Brummie's Legend, social nights, Rider of the Month awards as voted by the members, Christmas party members, monthly photograph, blah, blah, blah. You can all read it yourself.
Yeah.
There's loads there because it's just been relaunched.
It's fantastic.
And I can't say too much
And
because
the
I
guy
might
says, well done, Simon
be
and
past
Ben,
it.
been great, and thanks, lads, for doing it.
Yeah,
It's been our pleasure. Really enjoyed doing it this year. It's
been great fun. Even
And it's been competitive as well. The top 4 or 5 wanted to win, which made it even better.
You say he didn't want to win, then? So.
No, he just couldn't win.
Well, he didn't take part most weeks, did he? So.
well, there is that.
And he's crap.
Somebody on British Forum says Woofy hates living in Poland.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of
Lots of things are said on the
lots of attention, lots of attention on the riders in Poland, though, aren't they? So it's not like in the UK. So.
Yeah. Oh, just for more information on that supporter club, visit the Birmingham website. There you go. And this Sunday, E-Wade, how you should pronounce that? Kent Speedway is running a Kent Pairs Challenge, MSDL and Round 7 British Youth Championship, starting £12 all for £10 for adults, 12 o'clock, all for £10 for adults and £5 for 11s to 17s. And I need some new teeth.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's good.
Simon's now making demands on us. He says he's a double champion, so no black t-shirt, please.
no,
Chris, got one
prima
baseball
donna,
cap, please, and a
prima
green
donna.
t-shirt.
No, you can have whatever colour you like, as long
long
as
as
it's
it's
black
black.
or white.
There you go. We'll send him a white one and he can colour it in green.
Yeah. Who's Simon's team anyway? I
think he's a Cradley fan.
He was Cradley. Oh, okay, yeah. We can have a green emblem on his white t-shirt. There we go.
Okay.
I think I did a red one for Ben. So where are we?
Okay, Craig Smith thinks that he's going to that Ty Waffenden will be at Wolves next year.
I'm not so sure. I don't think
He's been critical of the tracks, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's not a great lover of the tracks in the UK. I don't think. it's a shame, really. I'd love to see him back in the UK, because he's still box office. He might not be quite the force he was, although I've got a feeling he'll have a big season next year. I mean, obviously he's making plans to go back to Australia for the winter, which of course he hasn't been able to do for the last 2 or 3 years because of COVID.
Ben Clifton reckons the runner-up is to get a mug. No, I think what he was saying actually was runner-up is a mug. Yeah, I think he spelt it wrong. Says the person coming from 16th place. Oh well.
What does 16th get, do you?
Yeah.
Laughed at?
You laughed at, yeah.
Oh dear. I really know my Speedway, don't I? Yeah. Well, we are coming up to that time of the day or evening when we're going to have to say ta-ra. I think there's a few thank yous to be said.
Yeah.
Thank you to every one of the riders this season that have provided us. Thanks to Richard Thomas, who says I've got to be ridiculed. There's got to be have provided us with great entertainment week in, week out. Thank you to all the promoters for putting their money where their mouths are. Thank you to everybody that's listened to the show and said nice things, or even if they've said bad things.
And of course, we haven't had as many as we would have liked this year, but thanks obviously to the guests that have come on the show as well. Obviously, we haven't had as many as that we would have liked, but
our audience are our guests.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we also need to mention that probably the saddest headline of the year with Nigel Pearson.
Nigel Pearson.
I think so.
That's,
absolutely.
That was sad, wasn't it?
Yeah. That actually, I mean, it still doesn't seem real.
No,
it's
it doesn't.
not with us.
Yeah. So.
You can, the number of times I'm still watching YouTube videos of Speedway, and there he is.
It's the voice, isn't it? It's the voice, yeah.
Elliot says, thanks for a great show and discussions over the season. Great way to chat Speedway on a Tuesday evening. Well, that's really what we was trying to do from the outset. So thanks for that, Elliot.
That was the original idea, wasn't it, really, Mike? Yeah. A guy sitting around in a tavern having a chat about Speedway. Yeah.
Thanks for the Tuesday evening, boys. Enjoyed everyone. Stay safe. Have a great winter. We should say that come the AGM, we will probably do a show on the AGM on what's come out, if anything comes out. And we'll all have a chat about that, and maybe there'll have already been some signings and stuff by then.
Possibly,
we can have a look at those as well. But in the meantime, good luck to Paul and Leicester.
Yep.
I'm
and also
looking
to
forward to
Milton
that.
and Leicester in the MDL.
And Milton and Leicester in the MDL. And Duncan Pemberton's confirming what he said about Phil Morris's wife passing away.
Yeah, sad. So I think she was 46. No,
so, yeah.
Absolutely no age, is it?
Lawrence says, winter work continues at Perry Bar most Sundays from 10 a.m. Not this Sunday as at Kent with the Bulls. Volunteers welcome. I was going to go down this Sunday as well, if you believe that.
Let's climb over the fence.
Yeah. Pete Clark says, as the season draws to a close, the hard work begins most Sundays from 10. Well, there you go. And that's something to think about, is that a lot of hard work does
goes on behind the scenes.
behind
People
the
who give up
scenes.
their free time.
So
as well.
that's probably the biggest thank you we should give is to all the people that give up their time just for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. I think we're going from the sound of the music.
Coming on, yeah.
Keep your eye on the website for news about AGMs and
We will
whatnot.
we will obviously announce when we decide we're going to do an AGM special or anything like that. So
Absolutely. And if we don't see you before, have a great Christmas. Take care, everybody.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt Welcome to the Speedway